Hello, scumbags. I'm Andrew Fantasia. Welcome to Vote of No Confidence. I am welcoming you with my sexy post-cold voice. And I'm joined here today with our special guest all the way from the US of A, Mr. Joshua Lucas. What's up, Joshua Lucas?
Yes, what's up? What's up, everybody? Yes, I am the Joshua Lucas. I don't have a sexy cold voice, so I might be docked some points there. I feel like Andrew is sick, and if he's sick of anything, it's of getting the tail end of these debates. So perhaps that
Absolutely.
has something to affect him. But no, yeah. Hope you feel better soon, man.
Thank you. Thank you. As I can, at least the upside is I can start my own phone sex hotline and it'll kind of be successful for like the next 48 hours.
It reminds me of the Friends episode where Phoebes have that voice for a while, and she was like singing, and it very like people started to love her singing because she was raspy, and then she like lost it, and they all hated it.
I think I remember that. I don't even
Yeah.
watch a lot of Friends, but I think I remember that. I remember her being like,
Yes.
"Hey guys."
Right. Right. Yep.
But speaking of short ends of short sticks,
Yes.
we are we're debating something that's very topical right now.
Yes.
It's about the whole debacle. Well, I don't know if the debacle might be too strong a word, but the whole issue of Colin Trevorrow is no longer sitting in that director's chair for episode 9, Adrian's Revenge.
And not just because he had to go to the bathroom, but because he's out. Yes.
He's out completely. And now apparently, what we've heard rumors of through the news grapevine is that the two front runners to take that position are none other than either J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson.
Yeah, talk about hedging your bets, right? The two directors that have already done movies for your trilogy are the front runners. Yeah, actually, probably a safe play. Yeah.
Now, normally Rob McDonald would be here debating when we'd be at a rage and he'd get into his Darth Ward costume, but he's actually on a super secret business trip right now and he's out of town.
Oh,
So
nice.
he called you up and we were like, okay, Joshua Lucas will have something to say about Johnson or Abrams, depending on how the coin speaks. And what has the coin spoken for you?
The coin has spoken that I get to defend Rian Johnson, which is a softball. It's a softball throw. It's so easy. The thing is, and I have to say this to James because look, everybody knows I love James and like I love collaborating with you guys and doing this stuff. But every time we do one of these things, I feel like you get the raw end, man. I feel like now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to stop me from crushing you, but I just feel like maybe for once we should swap it up. Not this time, but maybe next time we should swap it up.
Like secretly swap our ballots, like
yes,
yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just be like, well, James wants us to do it this way, but we're switching it up. Yeah. So, but yes, I will be to the council, to the Senate out there. I will be debating on behalf of Rian Johnson. Why Rian Johnson should be the guy to direct episode 9.
And I'll be pushing for Mr. J.J. Abrams. And because it is such a dark horse vote in comparison here, I brought a friend with me to help me out all the way from Toronto Fan Expo. This my boy Baze Malbus. Baze Malbus is going to help me out. He's gonna give some cut eye to any senators who don't like what I'm talking about. So he's here on me. He's on my side. So why don't you start us off? Tell us about Mr. Rian Johnson and why episode 9 should be all his.
Yes, yes. So I actually just recently wrote an article on thedenofnerds.com kind of outlining why I think Rian is the perfect fit for this. And I can kind of just go through those points. But I think that the point I would want to start with, the thing I want to say most to the Senate is that we have to just be real about something. The dark Sith overlord, Kathleen Kennedy, would appear to have complete and total control of what is happening at Disney Film. And in all seriousness, some people think that she has a little bit too much control. Other people think that she obviously knows what she's doing. She's a great producer. I think she's all-time great as a producer. I personally don't think she has too much power. But the bottom line is this. The reason that these people are being canned has something to do with how their relationship is with Kathy. It's been reported that Trevorrow and Kathy's relationship was the crux of the issues that eventually led to them parting ways. Now, we haven't gotten any reports about how Trevorrow folds his socks, so we don't know exactly how much friction there is there. But the bottom line is the main reason that it makes sense for Rian to be the guy is that he and Kathleen Kennedy seem to have very good rapport. She speaks incredibly highly of him. Rian is an incredibly humble guy. He speaks very highly of her. So I think it's a natural extension of what the issues are, what the power plays are. I mean, she respects the guy enough, I think, to be able to consider his opinions. So I don't think that it's just as simple as he would be a lapdog. I don't think that. I think that he's a respectable guy with a vision that's able to bend. And so I think that that's my first point is like, it would be good for the studio. I cannot see Kathy Kennedy and Rian Johnson infighting, at least publicly infighting as we move forward. So that would be my first point.
Yeah, and that's I'm actually glad you brought her up, because when James messaged me the other day, I was in like full on cold mode. I was like passed out on my couch, and I got like 3 text messages, and one of them was from him saying like Colin Trevorrow's out, and I was like, whoa, what? And it like snapped me. And when I responded to him, the first thing I said, and I want to go on record, I love Kathleen Kennedy. Like, I think she's an awesome producer. She's probably my favorite producer. And remember, George handpicked her, so that's got to count for something. But
100% it does, yeah.
Yeah, like she's there for a reason. So when James told me about Trevorrow being out, at that point I messaged him back and I said, okay, I hope this isn't the case, but like, do you think maybe at this point Kathleen is the problem? Like, look at all these directors we've been losing. Like, is there, like, she's a common denominator? Is something wrong there? Does she just burn too many bridges? And I don't know. That's a question for another day. But
yes, sir.
It was a really, like, obviously we caught this early enough that it's not going to matter in the long run. But so much is changing that it makes me worried. But on to Mr. Abrams. And the reason why I think he might be a good fit here is, for starters, there's a problem that seems to plague movie number 3 in any given trilogy for the most part. And that's a problem of consistency. A lot of people will walk out of a third movie and, in a negative standpoint, because there does exist a positive too, but in a negative standpoint, they would look at that third movie and say, you know what? This is a way different world from what they gave us in part 1. Like this, they're off the rails. Like movies like X-Men 3 or RoboCop 3, Godfather 3. Like there's a lot of instances where the third one just gets away from you. And I think that is a symptom of movie 3 more than it is for movie 2. Like it always seems to be the third one that suffers from this. So I think that one great way to avoid that is to bring it all back around sort of full circle. You had Abrams, you had Johnson, and now you can keep Johnson on board as a writer. I mean, God knows the guy's doing a great job writing from what we've heard. But put Abrams back in that director's chair, and then all of a sudden it's wrapped up in this great little bow. It'll feel like 7, but it'll still move forward with what has been shaken up in 8. So what we'll get in 9 is an amalgamation that doesn't feel super different from Force Awakens, but at the same time, it feels like it's grown and it's its own separate special thing. And it's not, beholden to, only what Rian Johnson has done or only what J.J. Abrams has done.
I think that's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. That's an interesting, I know probably I've seen in the comment section, people hate that we agree on things sometimes, but like, that is a fair point. Let me just counter it, I guess, by saying that if straight up, I just don't know if I trust JJ with endings in general, because I think that he is more of this, something that James and I went into in our coverage on my channel. He is more of a great starter. He is a great launch point guy. He's a great mystery box writer. Like his TED Talk is all time great. And he carries that in all of his movies. He's the mystery box guy. Like Rey and Snoke are kind of the mystery box, right? And so I don't necessarily trust him as the guy to finish it. If it was written by someone else, if they come up with a great ending, maybe. But I also think that JJ, he just straight up missed some things in The Force Awakens. I mean, classically the Chewie hug thing, right? I mean, he missed that. There were several other beats that he didn't exactly get right. And I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said for what you're talking about as far as an aesthetic. But I feel like the vast majority of the people in the community out there, the reason that they have such a problem with what Disney is doing, like there are people out there that were incredibly excited to see Lord and Miller's Han Solo movie. And the fact that, Kathy said like it was going to be this thing and it's not. Look, some people are looking for different. And this is what I tell our Star Wars fans this all the time. I'm like, look, guys, not everybody loved The Force Awakens. Not everybody loved Rogue One. There's a big number of people out there that are like, this is paint by numbers. Where's the new stuff? Including, by the way, George Lucas. So it is an interesting situation. I think that doing JJ as the third is quite possibly, even aesthetically, a safer play. But I feel like when you consider the fact that this is part of the problem, the PR problem that they're having, is that Star Wars is like brand over everything, paint by numbers over everything. Anything that doesn't fit in our vision, get it out of here. The Last Jedi looks to be very different. And even, people have spoken to this. They're like, this is kind of different. It's kind of shocking, right? I love when they say that. Shocking. I hope so. And if that is indeed the case, if The Last Jedi nails this beautiful thing, which we've talked about a lot and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about, but that it's different, maybe not even something we're really like love, but good for the Star Wars story, then that's the route you need to go. You don't need the closer to come in and close out the game. You need something extravagant, something big, something bold. I think Rian is the guy for that, and I just don't necessarily trust J.J. Abrams. Here's the scenario. They're all dead. The island wasn't real. That's what JJ is going to do if you give him 9. That's what I'm saying. I went there. Yep. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's actually a great segue into something that I thought would really help to JJ's benefit here. And it's that with 7, because it was such a safe movie, it sort of had to be in the long run. His hands were really tied, I believe. Maybe even not by outside forces, but by pressure. I mean, he's making the first Star Wars movie in a decade. He's making the first Star Wars movie under a new production house. He's making the first Star Wars movie since the prequels, which not a lot of people liked. And he has to make it good, make it a big, exciting event movie, please old fans, and bring on new fans all in one 2-hour plus gap. Like, that is, I did not envy him. As much as I would love to be making a Star Wars movie, I did not envy him at all to have to do that. So playing it safe was probably his best bet at that point. But I am sure that there were moments where he was like, God, wouldn't it be great to do X, Y, Z instead? And I think that if we give him 9, there's his chance to really cut loose, because we know just from what we've heard, Rian Johnson is doing remarkable and different stuff with The Last Jedi. So if he's going to blaze that trail, let's give JJ that opportunity to follow that trail now, to be like, okay, guys, we've set up the dominoes. Now let's shuffle them around and let's knock them down in an order you didn't expect, and give him the chance to play in the sandbox the right way and use even more imagination than maybe restrictions would have allowed him to with Force Awakens.
No, that's true. Look, I would, if he got the pick, that could be a thing, right? I would be probably having conversations online with people being like, hey, look, give him a chance. Because I think that seriously, there would be kind of an outcry. I think that if he gets it, that it will not help them on the PR side of things. I just don't. I think that for that reason and that reason alone, and I'm kind of going to hammer that point home, that like the reason Rian makes more sense is because of the faith that the community has with him. And now, granted, we haven't even seen The Last Jedi, right? But I still think you make this move right now. Like, I actually expect this to be announced within a couple of days. I think it'll be announced that Rian is the new guy. He's the guy on there, and all the fans will literally breathe a sigh of relief. Maybe not super casual people, because they won't necessarily understand like what that actually means. But another thing is the actors themselves and the story arc. So like the as an actor, one of the things that is really important to you, having the pithy to do. Like, you really want something that's going to test you, that's going to stretch you. And like, that just didn't happen for, I don't think, any character in The Force Awakens. Like, none of them had something really interesting to do dramatically. And like, when you hear, Adam Driver talk about how this movie's all about his character journey and how like he's excited to explore that. And when you talk about Gwendolyn Christie talking about how she worked with Johnson to really explore this character. Even Mark Hamill talks about how, he disagreed with everything that Rian wanted to do with Luke, but he came around to it and saw how it was going to work. I think that at the end of the day, like, that's just not a strength that JJ has. So you got to think of it in two sides. The actors themselves, because of their personal brands, carry some of the weight of the PR of this film. So, people want to know after Han Solo, what does Woody Harrelson think? You know what I mean? Like, what does, Aaron Reich think? Because they're a part of the PR. So I think that not only will the fans just generally have a better reaction to Rian doing it, the studio would be happier because Kathleen and him get along so well, but also the actors themselves would be like, we get to go back to fun Rian Johnson summer camp time. Like, let's do that. Like, I can't wait. This is amazing. And I mean, like, you were there, you saw at Celebration, like, just the oozing enthusiasm that Rian has for this property. And this is something that James and I talked about. Like, you didn't get that from JJ 2 years before. It's big. It's not as big of a deal for JJ because JJ's a bajillionaire that's been, producer. His father's a producer. He's old Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, all these different things. I'm not trying to discount the guy's talent, but I'm saying, like, there's something about that. He feels more like George Lucas. Rian has something to prove. He's a true visionary, and he's trying to literally just make the best and most interesting Star Wars movie that he can. And so I think that for those reasons, I would just have to say Rian is still the guy. He's the pick. You know what I mean?
Well, when we get our butts in that theater, 2019, I think it's still going to be 19, for episode 9. And we're sitting there, we watch it, and it comes to a close, and we get those last 2-3 minutes before the credits roll. That's going to be a pivotal moment because as of now, we don't know if 9 is going to throw us for a loop and give us something unexpected that's going to lead into 10, 11, 12, or if they're really going to hit the brakes at that point and say, guys, Skywalker saga is over. Here's the end of the story. We really don't know which way they're going to go yet. And I think that if they go with that second option, if 9 is truly the final chapter of the Skywalker saga and everything that happens after is totally different. As much as J.J. Abrams is not known for endings, I think that Rian Johnson's his endings that we've seen in the past are not fitting for the end of what is pretty much the biggest, grandest story ever told in film. Rian Johnson's movies have ended all very nicely, but they are, like, because his movies are so much more personal, they have a much more somber, kind of melancholy tone to the way they've all ended. I mean, those stories all end with a very quiet moment that's more introspective than anything else. And I think that the ending of the Skywalker saga, the ending of Star Wars as we've known it to this day, needs to be the 4th of July. It needs to be that scene of the Avengers standing together in a circle for the first time. It needs to be like, this is the end, so we're going to go balls to the wall. We are going to end this with a bang. And as great as Rian is, I haven't seen any proof yet that he can end something with a bang.
Right.
JJ might not have proven his worth as an ender of stories either, but he has proven his worth as a he can tell a story as a blockbuster story. He can tell a story that is classic Hollywood giant spectacle. And that ending, I think, that ending can be a quiet, sweet ending, but it needs to have that giant spectacle to it because you are ending the saga of all sagas. So I would put that task I'd rather put that in the hands of Abrams than Johnson, simply because I believe Abrams comes from a place where he understands the weight of that. I've always told, a lot of my friends and I are all huge fans of The Simpsons. And I have said it, I actually started writing at one point. I haven't finished it yet, but I've started writing what I think the ending of The Simpsons should be. And I have told people time and time again, I'm like, if they end this 30-year-old show with just a 22-minute episode, they are spitting in everybody's faces. You need to end The Simpsons with at least an hour-long special, if not like a two-parter, something grand. You need to, because people understand this is not just a show. This isn't just NCIS. This is The Simpsons. And I think the same thing applies here. This is not just a movie series. This isn't RoboCop 3 and then, okay, we won't make more for another 20 years. No, this is Star Wars. If you're going to say we're ending it, you effing end it. And you make people remember that. And like I said, as great as Johnson is, his endings aren't that kind of ending.
Right. That's fair. I think at the end of the day, though, I don't think Lucas is going to end Star Wars like that. I don't think that they want to necessarily end Star Wars. If anything, they will maybe end the legacy of the Skywalkers. I could see that being a thing. James and I
10, 11, and 12 as well, personally. And I'd rather it be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, like, my thing is, and this is something I talked to James about, I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if we started a whole new saga, like a whole new episode 1? You know what I mean? Like a new sort of thing, you know what I mean? And then even you could do it like the breakdown that they did. Do a trilogy of trilogies, just like they did with the other one. It should be the new lineage of, maybe Rey is nobody, but now she's somebody, and we're going to, follow her lineage. That could be really interesting. But I just think that, like, you're crazy if you think they want to make the last Star Wars ever. Like, there's no way. We're literally going to have Star Wars for the rest of our lives. And so I don't know if they necessarily need that. Here's the thing. I think, and this is something I told James, I was like, look, I think the episodic films are a lock for $1 bajillion, no matter what. I don't think money's the issue. Even if you look at the prequels, they all made buttloads of money, and Sith finished strong. So, like, I don't think they need to worry about that, which is why they put so much focus on the Star Wars thing. Like, they're so focused on keeping the brand strong and keeping the themes of Star Wars strong, because they know longevity is the game. So I don't think that they're going to do that, but I think they need an edge. Like, I think that if everything else in Star Wars, like, you got to be careful when you're talking about a company that's making this much money and a property that has this much value. Like, the paint by number, episode 7 was exactly what it needed to be. Like, exactly. And I unabashedly love that film. But, like, I also believe that The Last Jedi is equally as what we need. It's a shakeup. Like, I just don't think it would work if you were to kind of continue that story. And I think the thing about Rian is he has enough respect for what they're trying to accomplish. I think the reason he's so good, presumably, like we said, we haven't seen it, is that he can toe that line. He can be like, look, as a Star Wars fan, because he said it's all about reverse engineering. Why is Luke on this island? Like, why is the greatest Jedi of all time, the last Jedi, on this island sitting it out? You know what I mean? That would be like having your best player in dodgeball sit on the bench and just watch all these dudes get pung and try to, like, catch these balls, and it's not happening. And Luke's sitting over there, and he's the boss. He's the guy that can handle it all, and he hasn't. And so Rian reverse engineered that and then told what I believe will just be this crazy good story. He's got the goods when it comes to these kind of stories. And so I think he deserves a shot at ending it. And, like, who else could end that story that he set up more intuitively than the one who started that ball rolling? I mean, like, even if they get someone else to write it, because they already have this guy in there that's doing the rewrites, the Harry Potter play guy, and they're really trying to tighten this up, because I think they're starting to understand how important 9 is. And, with Carrie's passing, it's a tricky issue. But I think that edge on it is possibly more valuable than that ending that you're looking for. Like, that edge could be the thing that carries this kind of fringe excitement from the hardcore fan people into the next saga, into the next thing. You know, like there are parts of Rogue One that are a little bit different than other Star Wars movies that I think bring other people into it. You know, remember when we were in Orlando and there's some people that are like, I hated Force Awakens, but I loved Rogue One. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they almost recognize, Disney almost recognizes the juggling of these different audiences that they have. And so I think that Rian is the guy to toe that line. And that is why I think he should get the nod. And I'm 1000% convinced that he will. Like I said, I think, and I'll say it right here and now, this announcement will be made by the end of next week that he is the director. I'm just 1000%. I see no way they'll go JJ. Zero. I see no way that they'll go with anybody else. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, like it's a no-brainer. It's a softball. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think. So.
And they're supposed to roll, or not roll, but they're supposed to start pre-production in January, I think. So whoever they pick is got to be soon.
Yes.
So that's definitely something that they wanna get done now. And like you said, announce it now to give everybody just that closure. Like here's this person, and now we know.
Look, JJ wanted BB-8 to accompany Rey to Octu, and Rian was like, "Dude, R2 hasn't seen him in how long?" And JJ was like, "Oh yeah, that probably makes sense. Wasn't thinking about that." Yeah, I know, bro. You weren't thinking about it. That's why we need Rian in there, because he's a fan. You know, I'm not saying that JJ is not a fan, but he's a producer first. You know, that's the way he thinks.
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, I mean, and I've said this every time we've lost the director. At the end of the day, just give us a great movie, and we'll go home happy, and we'll buy the toys.
Yep.
And we'll buy the toys. Basic agrees with me. And we'll sit down and we'll watch the movie 5-6 times in the theaters. So at the end of the day, whoever gets in that chair, give us a great movie, and we'll love you forever. That's all we ask.
That is all we ask. Let me ask you one last question, though.
Sure.
When it comes specifically to Snoke, specifically to the fallen angel, the fallen will, Mr. Snoke-tastic, Snoke-face McGee, who do you trust more to fill out that lore? Who would you prefer to write the lore? If, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who would fit that better between JJ and Rian?
To be honest, and like I'm not just trying to be like puffing out my chest by saying this, but I would pick JJ just because I have seen like some of the best episodes of Lost are the ones that go back and tell backstories about really mysterious characters. And whether or not, like, obviously there were many writers on Lost, and he probably didn't have a hand in all of those, but because that was sort of his baby, and the same can be said about Fringe as well, actually. I've seen him do it, so I know it can be done well. I'm sure Johnson can do it great too. It's just I've seen it done by JJ's people. So.
Yeah. I just have to disagree because I think that like JJ was brilliant with introducing the smoke monster, but like the payoff for it was crap. Like, and I just think that he doesn't write that way. Like he's a mystery box writer. Like, so, you know, Snoke is this great idea, but as far as like actually explaining it and filling it out, like, I just feel like he would drop the ball, man. Like, I feel like, and maybe they don't even need to explain it and that would be the best option. But I would feel much more comfortable with a visionary like Johnson explaining that, you know?
Well, so. Hopefully, like I said, if he turns out to be a good character, I'll take either one.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
And he's got a gold robe, so I'm already happy.
Yes, that golden robe is dope.
I can't wait for that toy to come out. It's GameStop exclusive, so I'll have to pre-order it or something, otherwise I'll never see it.
Right.
But that's the Johnson versus Abrams debate. Not since Mayweather-McGregor have two titans been so flawlessly thrown together in a ring and made to box for our amusement.
They should just box for it. I would definitely give JJ I think I would give him the edge in the boxing match.
They're both like the same kind of like height and build. I think they even have like the same type of glasses. Like they're so similar. Like you could just throw them together and it'd be like an even fight. But now you vote, my Senate homies. Now you vote, you cast your vote, you let us know. Abrams, Johnson, Spielberg, who knows? Somebody's got to direct this movie. Let us know. Tell us what you think. Mr. Joshua Lucas, when you aren't talking about Rian Johnson, where can people find you?
I am on the Den of Nerds quite consistently, doing a bunch of video content over there. James did a video with me talking about this issue, and it was really fresh. Check that video out. I like it a lot. Also, go to thedenofnerds.com. These two guys, James and Andrew, contribute there. They do some cool articles on there. So go to thedenofnerds.com. That's where you can find me.
And you can find me at Twitter. No, I lied. On Facebook at Andrew Fantasia. You can also find me on Twitter at Andrew Fantasia, but let's be real, I'm not famous, so I don't really use Twitter.
Right.
And then you'll find me here on Rebel Scum Podcast doing random things, or you'll find me in a Toys R Us looking for Black Series that haven't come to my country yet, like this fella here. So that's me. That's Josh. Thank you for watching, my fellow scumbags, and we'll see you next time on Vote of No Confidence.
Bye-bye.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.